Welcome, 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 everyone, to another Conversations in the Void. I am Graveyard, joined by my off-screen producer, who'll be in the chat, Salem. So make sure to follow us on all social media out at night. And thank you for joining us. And let's get into this conversation. I'd like to introduce someone who I met through a good friend of the show, Distance Learning. I have his comics right here, Night of the Chihuahuas, who are a good friend of the channel. And when we go out and do events, we now have postcards with QR codes to them. So please let me introduce to you the one and only Nate Price.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I see we have some friends here. Let's Create Mezzo from Kyber Cave. Welcome, everyone. So let's get into this, shall we? All right. So I know, Nate, we previously just discussed you're not big into horror, right?
No, I mean, I do like some stuff, but it's I don't know, some of the stuff that gets like I don't know, too dark or torture. Like I don't dig it. There was like what was it, Cannibal Apocalypse? You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was not cool with me. I don't even know if you'd consider that horror, but I'm good. That's where I get off.
Oh yeah. But just simple questions here. Do you remember your first horror movie by chance?
No.
Might
have been Poltergeist. Yeah, I my memory is poor as it is, but I would guess Poltergeist or yeah, I don't know. I mean, would you consider Twilight Zone's not really horror, although the end of that first movie was pretty twisted.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a lot of sci-fi, but there are elements of horror and a lot of plot lines that are horror, stemmed from Twilight Zone, like 6 people in search of the exit. The twist of the guy who broke his glasses being the last man on Earth, stuff like that. So pretty horrific themes sometimes, I would say.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
all good. But let's get into all about Nate and what you do, shall we?
Sure. Dude, should I address some of the questions in the chat?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll bring up Let's Create here. Is Eric Rees the artist on your book?
There's multiple artists on the books. Next question.
Yes, I know Eric has done some work for you guys as well, but he's great.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's a very deep question, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah,
I don't want to be rude, but there are a lot of artists involved, and we appreciate all of them. So
about Nate, how did you get into the comic book world?
I started reading comics when I was a kid. Really got involved in the 90s. Not involved. Really started enjoying it in the 90s with a lot of Image titles. My favorite go-to in the 90s was Pitt, if you remember Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward through the military, through a film career, through a career in physical therapy. Now I'm married, kids, and David and I met. David's the author of Night of the Chihuahuas. We met. I was writing film reviews for a local magazine, and I did an indie review on Night of the Chihuahuas and another project David did called The Lonely Ones, and which is actually a pretty good horror movie. If you get a chance, check it out. David has written and had movies made, but we made a movie called Promise together. It's on Amazon if you want to check it out. And we decided to try to make Night of the Chihuahuas. And that's kind of when we got into this and realizing that probably no one would pick up Night of the Chihuahuas. A publisher, we just decided to go ahead and tackle being a publisher. So I am an indie publisher, and it's kind of weird.
So let's just we have a question here from Let's Create. What was your favorite kind of comics growing up?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, it's kind of a. Do you mean like genre, like action, horror, like? Or do you mean like DC, Marvel, Image? Like that's kind of a broad question.
Let's go with genre. And do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite publisher? Do you more of a DC guy or a Marvel guy?
In the 90s, I was all about Image. I have a ton of Image books. Genre-wise, I really was into superheroes back then. Now, I am, but I don't know if this counts as, these are like homework for me. Stuff of Nightmares, Hack Slash, Philadelphia, Bitterroot. And I don't have a genre, but I like learning about what other people are doing. Distillery. This is really cool. This is called Accidental Aliens by an artist named Andy Duclef. She's out of San Diego. A lot of the other stuff is probably like bigger name, but just I don't really have a genre now. It's like we were talking about a little bit before the show. I'm in school now, and I'm just trying to learn. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Does anyone really know what we're doing anymore? I mean, yeah. No, I mean that's great. Do you view comics now as homework assignments for you, or do you consider it more? Do you still get to enjoy comics as being a publisher and writer as much as you used to?
When we first started this, I was kind of having a rough time. It was a lot of work, and I didn't know what to do, and there was a lot of stress. And I wasn't really enjoying anything. I was just stressed out for like a year. And my grandfather passed away, and we were at a show, and I didn't care. I just kind of flopped. People were talking to me. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And it's like part of what we do. You have to be personable. You have to be able to talk, and we're also humans, and like losing a loved one is hard. But I slowed down after that, and I've been getting more into reading for enjoyment, but I'm also finding it to be like a study. Like, how are these people doing it? Like, I don't know if have you heard of Distillery?
I have not.
This is a creator-owned company, if I understand correctly, and there's a lot of really talented people, and they artists, writers, and they created something great. And it's like, well, how can I become like them? Like, this is another guy, books everywhere. This guy's name is Mac. He's a teacher, and we just met him. And I really hope the best for these guys if I can help them. But this is their book, and they're in the same boat. They're trying to learn. And I took a course from Shelley Bond, who is a DC Vertigo editor, for like 20 years ago, or for 20 years. I'm really just trying to learn as much as I can, because once again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm having fun. We're making comics. We're making money. But it's and luckily I have a group of people working with me that are very supportive. My wife, 100,000% on board and helping. So I'm sorry, I probably went way off course there.
Oh, no, that's all good. No, I mean, I know we just talked briefly before the show, but I know you are a publisher. You are also a writer, because you are now working on Killer Hair. So tell us what that's like, taking a class in comic writing. And do you ever want to have your hand in artwork at some point?
What do you mean by hands in artwork?
Like, do you ever decide that you want to, do you draw at all, like the covers or anything? I
used to draw, and actually I was into graffiti quite a bit for a while. It's like a passion of mine, which is funny because I'm like this overweight, pasty guy. But I love graffiti, and yes, I did draw. Sorry, I'm trying to read. I did draw, but now when I draw, it's to communicate with the artist. I'm working on Killer Hair. Myra Hernandez, she did a cover for us, which I think you have. I don't know if you can easily pull it up or.
Which one is that?
It's the one I emailed to you. This is a digital copy for Killer Hair, the 0.5.
I don't have that on me right now.
Yeah, I think I can pull it up quickly,
Okay.
but so I communicate with her visually. This is not the finalized one, but this is kind of what we're working on. And then I'm also working with Sophia Cox on the interiors, and it's kind of fun because we can go back and forth, get on Zoom or whatever, take pictures. And Sophia and Myra have been like super duper amicable. I've had trouble working with some artists, and it's like my mentor told me he does gigantic murals, graffiti style murals.
Oh wow.
For like major sports teams. And he said, have a 5-year plan, the people you want to work with in 5 years. So if people like Sophia and Myra I could work with, it'd be great because the communication is good. And it's funny because I use my little silly drawing skills, but it makes sense. It communicates what needs to happen. And and the cool thing too is like Sophia, she's done a bunch of covers, but it's her first time doing interiors. And let me see if I can find one real quick. Is that gonna?
It's a little bright. It's hard to see.
Anyways, so we're just kind of getting to know how to work and getting a flow. And I haven't told you, but there's another project called Family Man that is horror based.
Ooh.
And it is like I don't even say it. I can't give it up. There's a twist. The whole thing is based on a twist. And that's all storyboard, or the layouts are done. And I'm hoping to work with one of two people on that. But yeah, that's kind of, I forgot what your question was.
I was asking if you did any artwork. I know you said that, you're working on it just to help, convey to the artist what you're trying to get through. So that's neat. I said, I don't think I could do that. I'd just have stick figures with, like if I'd Killer Hair, just be stick figure with lots of hair.
Yeah. But here, like, let's create said Killer Hair. Sounds similar to a character from Marvel's who is Medusa, but Medusa is a
Inhuman
hero. And, there's a saying that's nothing new is under the sun. So Killer Hair in my mind is Venom meets Rapunzel. And I'm trying to take something, and it's already, I think, been touched upon, but like no one's going to write a story that I'm going to write. So whether it's been done, I'm going to have a different take on it. Yeah, I mean, it is similar. You probably heard a couple of things. Am I a creator, writer, or both? I don't know. I'm here. Hi, everybody.
I think let's great to know. He wants to know if you're the creator and writer on both of the comic series.
No. I'm an indie publisher that yeah.
But speaking of,
I don't know if I'm an indie publisher. I just show up.
Now something that it missed my eye the very first time of looking at the label for the comic, right? Is my off-screen producer like, oh, Porkchop Express. I think that is one of his favorite movies. And I completely missed it the very first time. So how'd you guys come up with the name for Porkchop Express? Was there like a long discussion?
So there's some founders in Porkchop Express. There's Mark Lathan. Maybe I shouldn't say last names. Mark, Josh, my wife and I, and then one other. The comics. What? I can't read these things. I can't.
He said you helped create comics by producing it, so that counts as a comic book creator.
So there's a founding group, and we had two names picked out, and Porkchop was one of them, and I forget the other one. And we were like, well, let's flip a coin. Well, there was no coins, so we had a plastic ninja star. So we flipped the plastic ninja star, and Porkchop Express was born. So it's kind of a silly and fun story.
Like I said, it's a great name. I'm surprised it wasn't taken before.
Then not for comic books. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that do have it. So like our LLC name is Porkchop Express Productions, but we just, in comics, Porkchop Express.
Nice. So what has been the most challenging part of comic book making for you?
That's a really good question. There's so much to do, and nobody really knows everything that goes into it. It's like if you're an artist and they say, well, just draw a picture.
Mhm.
It's just hurry up and do that. Well, some artists are good. Some artists are very talented. Some are not so talented. But for somebody to put a pen to paper, it takes time. So having done this and not knowing what we were getting into, it was all challenging. There's been incidents with certain people. I don't even want to talk too much, but it's like just when I was in the film industry,
mm-hmm.
There were people with egos. There were people that would lie, backstab, and I thought I'm going to go to comics later down the road, and it's going to be great. Everyone's going to have fun, or it's going to be a great time, and everything will be perfect. And it's not been like that at all. So I think one of the things that is challenging for me is being at Comic Cons.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much input, visual, audio input. It's exhausting because you're sitting at a booth and I'm trying to make eye contact with, hundreds of people, maybe thousands over the course of a weekend. And it gets to be a bit much. I wish I had like a lot of vigor and like, hey buddy, come over and buy our comic. And at some points in the show, I'm just like, I need to sit down. I don't want to talk to anybody for about 10 minutes, but you're also missing sales. I mean, you need to be there pitching your book. So it's, I'm getting better at it, but yeah, I kind of overloaded the first major con that we went to.
So we'll have a couple questions here. How do you find your writers and artists for your books? That do they come to you, or you just do like a sales pitch?
David and I were friends, so he was the writer on the first. I'm the writer on the second. Artists, it's, I don't know, meeting people, seeing people on Instagram. The guy that did a couple of our covers, he is the best man in my wedding. My friend Tim, he did our Jaws cover and our Shepherd Fairy homage, which is the bite one. And yeah, he's the guy that does the murals. He's kind of like a mentor to me. So he's helped me navigate. But yeah, I mean, it's meeting people and trying to build relationships. It's kind of like dating. And this is true. We're in 50 comic book stores now. I think we have 48 solidified. I'm going to one tomorrow. He said he wants to buy, and one on Friday. They said they want to buy. So that'll make 50. Hooray. Wow. But it's all like dating. You never know what's going to happen, if you're going to click or not. It's hard because you want to go out there and put your best foot forward. And like some of these shops, they've sold out 6 times. That's great. They talk about us. Hey, we've got Night of the Chihuahuas. There's at Samurai Comics, which is the biggest one here in the Valley in Phoenix. There's 4 shops. An associate there spoke up and got us our biggest backer on our first Kickstarter. And we're very thankful to that because it's, like it takes a village kind of thing. But as far as, the writers and the artists, it's trying to go through and meet those people that we'll click with and we'll work long-term with.
Right. And great question here. Do you talk about meeting artists? Did you meet anyone at any cons? Have you been able to go up to people and kind of like hire them on for an issue or a variant cover?
Yeah. I mean, we've got this whole thing here. Like I went to Honolulu for a family reunion, my wife's family reunion. And we took some books out there. Like I'm flying out there. Might as well drop in. So we dropped in the biggest shops called Other Worlds, Other Realms. other realms. And we met Eric, who's the buyer. This guy's great. He's like, this is the coolest dude. And we were talking, and he's like, oh, you should meet Mog. MOG is her name. She's an artist, Mog Park. And there was another one. But we ran into Mog at Fan Fusion, and she did this crazy, bizarre, like it's after like a Japanese horror, Korean horror. And yeah, I mean, I just asked her to do a sketch cover, and she did, and we're hopefully gonna put it on the next Kickstarter. So yeah, I mean, it's just networking, just meeting people. So
that's great. And speaking of comic book shops, you said you're approaching 50. How many states are you guys currently in?
I don't know, 8 maybe in Canada.
8 in Canada.
I've kind of lost count. I was really proud, and we were on a roll for a while. But once again, it's hard to do everything. I've gotten into all these shops, and then it's like, well, I got to do follow-ups, and I'm also over here, learning about copyright law, and we had an artist do an homage that was like questionable.
Right.
So we tried to protect ourselves and like learn about what does this mean. So yeah, I mean, it's 50 shops. It's really cool. A lot of shops have reordered. And some haven't. And it's just the thing of like a dating. You're not gonna. Right. You might not talk to that person again. I don't know if dating is a good analogy. Maybe like making friends. But
I haven't had a date in a very long time. So
yeah.
I purge that from my memory.
All right.
So it's a good question. Is how long does it typically take to complete a book? From I know Night of Chihuahuas is pre-written and stuff like that, but how long do you think it would take you to do your run of Killer Hair? Let's say. I
write in screenplay format, and I know David does too. And David's getting much better at breaking down into comic book format. David is helping me, as well as Max Flowers, breaking down Killer Hair into comic book format. But I mean, I guess it really comes down to money and how fast your artist is. I think the first issue of Killer Hair is going to be 24 pages and probably 6 months. You got to pay your artist. And let's create. If you're drawing your own artwork, it's really up to you. If you have time, maybe you can do. I've heard of people doing 2-3 pages a day, but that's dedication. And and then can you turn around and make money off of it? If you put 2-3 pages a day for a couple months, well, hopefully if you got to eat and pay rent, it's like, can you make that happen? So,
right. Yeah.
And then also getting your book copyrighted, you go to copyright.gov, and I forget the fee, might be $85, but it's a very government website, which is kind of like not user friendly. And you can copyright your information, and not everybody does that. I don't know. I have the highest hopes that Night of the Chihuahuas will get picked up and become a horrible movie, like a horrible, awesome movie. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to do everything by the books, because if someone comes in and says, say Netflix comes in and they say, we'll give you X amount of dollars, I want to take the whole package and go, here you go, and just walk away. Like,
right.
Like this is yours. Or, I mean, if we kept the rights to the comics and they did a movie, like it would work out better for us. But yes, that's through the Library of Congress.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yep.
So with
wealth of useless knowledge.
So without spoiling anything, I know you guys are working on book 5 of Night of Chihuahuas, and you started wrapping up on Killer Hair. Do you have anything else in the pipe works for Porkchop Express?
Just that family man.
Just the family man.
I don't know how to tell the story without giving it up, because there's a plot twist about halfway through, and the cool thing about it, it's 58 pages long, and there's only 2 pages with words on it.
Oh wow.
So I saw an artist from France that does comics, this a friend of ours named Craig Rasmussen, he was kind of educating me because, like, you know, a lot of people put a lot of word bubbles and it kind of takes away from the ambiance of what you're doing.
Right.
So he showed me, I forget the artist's name, but this guy, very little said, but so much conveyed visually. And I was like, I wonder if I could write something without words. And it to write without words was very easy. So I wrote it in one sitting, and I think maybe 4 hours. But it was so cool to like get through something and like, well, it's done. So once again, let's create, you know, if I have money, I could also get Family Man done. So, you know, I could be putting out 2 titles at one time, but it's I don't have an exorbitant amount of money to like just throw at stuff.
Right.
Which is, some people think I do for some reason, but I don't.
All comic book writers and publishers are rich all the time. Yeah.
Yes. Well, everyone's rich all the time.
Exactly. Exactly. So we are getting close to the end of the half hour. So I have a couple questions, hard questions for you. If you can work in any IP or any franchise, write or publish, what would it be? Like, would you want to do a Marvel story? Would you want to do a Batman story? Anything like that?
I would just want to work with what we're working with. I have kind of a zany sense of like storytelling. So I like to create things that are original. And if I was ever approached to do something, I might, if I could think of something, a fun way to do it, maybe I would. But I have a catalog of maybe 8 stories right now that are semi-developed. One is based on a 1940s rape of a woman, and it is tied into a feel of like Hard Candy or Ex Machina. I really want to. Shelley Bond, who was the DC Vertigo editor, she said, "I am so tired of hearing of stories about vampires and zombies and you know, post-apocalyptic. Like, what is new and original? What is going to catch my attention? You know, everybody knows what it's like to get a piece of hair in their mouth, probably. Now, imagine if that hair was out to kill you." Kill her hair. It kind of resonates. It's different, you know. Yes, Medusa has been but it's like, this is a whole different take, and I guarantee you there's a couple scenes in there that are going to probably throttle people. They're going to like, whoa. They get a little bit much, but you know, if you're not being ridiculous, like,
oh yeah, you got to be memorable, right?
Yeah, well, everything's been done, so like, you got to keep one-upping it,
right? So do you have any advice for people getting into writing comic books or publishing comic books?
Don't. No, I would say get with a team. Find a team of people that you can work with, rely on. There's going to be times where it's hard. You got to encourage each other. And I mean, you know, we're finishing Night of the Chihuahuas. It has been so many times where I just wanted to give up, you know, all that stuff. And we're here at this stage, and it feels like crossing a finish line, like a marathon. But if you really love it, pursue it, you know, meet people, network, build a team if you don't have one, or get in with some people, and just to keep applying yourself, because it's like, you're going to fall down, just get back up, keep going. It's the way to, you know, finish a race.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So before we get into your pluggables, we picked the random horror question here. You don't have to get it right. We're just keeping track for fun. It's like to keep scores, recurring guests. What is the name of Sigourney Weaver's character in Alien?
Oh, I know this one. Dang it. Hannibal Lecter. I don't know.
No, it's all good. It's Ellen Ripley.
Ellen Ripley. That's right. Dang it.
Well, man, that is this has been a blast. 30 minutes always goes by so fast.
Yeah.
But I know you have some stuff to plug. Where can people find you on social media, Instagram, all that stuff?
Like my name tag says, it's at Night of the Chihuahuas on Instagram and Facebook. we have a TikTok. Doing all this stuff is time consuming, so I've only posted a couple things on TikTok. In 2 years, those two platforms will probably completely crash, and it will be like some AI based social media. You have to start over again. But so at Night of the Chihuahuas, Instagram, Facebook, and we're going to be at Motor City Comic Con November 10th, 11th, and 12th in Detroit. David, the author, as well as some friends from the Escape podcast will be there. We'll be Thanksgiving weekend. We'll be at San Francisco Fan Expo in San Francisco, and that's Thanksgiving weekend. And then the very following weekend, David, the author, and he won't be in San Francisco, but he'll be in LA Comic Con with Eric Ruiz, who did the interiors for 4 and 5, and yeah. So those are our 3 big shows to finish out the year.
Those are some pretty big shows. I think Motor City, I was going to go to that one just because Bruce Campbell and Ted Raimi were supposed to be there too. So now I do kind of want to go more so too, now that you're going to be there as well.
Yeah. Well, we're playing. It's funny because we're planned out for cons into next year, like the middle of next year, because you have to sign up so early.
Right.
Like they sell out. So it's like, oh, I have to sign up, 6 months in advance. Well, then you have to buy plane tickets and, our rank arrangements. We're going to Boise. We're going to El Paso. We're going, forget where else next year, but trying to make it happen.
Awesome. Anything else you want before we end the show?
No, thank you very much. I hope you guys had a nice time.
Oh, always. It's always a blast talking to you, Nate.
Yeah.
So thank you once again, Nate. I've been Graveyard. Follow us on all social media at Pod Out at Night. Make sure to check out Nate at Night of Chihuahuas on Instagram and everywhere else, because book 5, I'm assuming, is going to get kickstarted pretty soon here,
right? Probably late December, early January.
Sweet. So I will put that in the link to the description below. So everyone, thank you for joining us tonight, and make sure that you do not get lost in the void. We'll see you next week. Bye.